Vikings, fjords, we're headed to the Kingdom of Norway. Should it be on your bucket list? It's amazing. Ooh, did I give it away? We're going to tell you all about this amazing destination. That's today on the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. Hello and welcome to the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. I'm Chris Forbeck, one of the agents with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it. The Kingdom of Norway. It's one of the most northern countries in the world. It's known for stunning natural scenery, particularly its deep, dramatic fjords. You almost can't say fjords without saying Norwegian Fjords, right? The ethereal northern lights, the phenomenon of the midnight sun. Oh, the country's just amazing. The country's known for its rich Viking heritage, its high quality of life, contributions to peace and environmentalism, and not to mention amazing seafood, winter sports, modern society that blends just its deep, deep traditions with innovation. And by the way, some of the happiest people in the world. It's also one of the 10 countries represented at Epcot's World Showcase. I'm missing 3. And it's also one of the most amazing locations for a Disney cruise. I got to do it back in 2002, but my colleagues, Federico Agar and our own producer, Jimmy Valdez, got to go on a Disney cruise to the amazing Norwegian Fjords, even kayak in a fjord. We're going to hear all about it and dive into this amazing itinerary. You see what I did there? Dive in. But first, let me introduce, normally, of course, I'd introduce Dreams Unlimited travel agent Elaine Edwards, but she is spending some time with her, well-deserved time with her family. So thank you. She will be back. But we do have to mention, we get to mention the aforementioned Federico Agar. He is a Dreams Unlimited travel agent and the face of Dreams Spanish website, See Disney. Hello, Federico.
Hello, how are you, Chris?
Thank you for being here, and I'm jealous of this trip, so I can't wait to hear about it. And of course, our amazing producer, Jimmy Valdez. Hello, Jimmy.
Hi.
And yes, he is legally changing his first name to Amazing. So we can just all refer to him that way. So glad you're both here. Thank you. So excited to talk Norway. And you can hear me try and pronounce these names of some of these Norwegian locations. It should be fun. We also have some news, some headlines about the Disney Adventure, the Disney Destiny, and Hawaii itineraries. Norway and Hawaii. Well, is that for different? But we're really spanning the globe today, right? But first, I get to remind you that this show, along with everything we do on the DIS Unlimited, DCL Fan, UO Fan, well, it's all brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We are experts at helping you plan your magical Disney cruise, your amazing visit to a remarkable Disney theme park, your Universal Adventure Epic Universe. So cool. Even other cruise lines. There's no additional cost to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel. None. But we're going to give you insights into your Disney cruise, your Disney park, or tips about your Universal adventure. This is literally what we do. And by booking your cruise with Dreams Unlimited Travel, we'll give you a shipboard credit of up to $1,000, depending on the price of your cruise. And I always hear people say that you don't get anything for free. Well, this is one of these cases where you're getting free money to spend on board, and it does not cost you one single penny. Best way to get started, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And one other note, by way of transparency, both Federico and I are Dreams Unlimited travel agents. Yes, this is our job, but we do this because, guess what? We love Disney. We love Disney Cruise Line. And we want you to have the best time possible. Really, I often mention that the Disney Cruise Line, the Cruise Line International Association, CLIA, they survey people who work with travel agents, and they have found literally that you have a better time on your cruise compared to people who do not use a travel agent. And that's because we just help you and we give you insights about your cruise and just make it a better experience. Our job, both here on this podcast and as agents, is to give you information so you can make the best decision for you and your family. And as Disney fans, we all know that sometimes we are the most critical, right? So we're always looking out. Yes, kind of we just want you to have a great time. So we hope you book with Dreams Unlimited Travel. It allows us to do this podcast. If you don't, we still hope you have an amazing trip. Some news, some quick headlines since we got together for our last recording, and we missed some of these events, but I wanted to bring you up to date. One is the Disney Destiny. It reached a new milestone. The description of the milestone is not that exciting. It's called conveyance, and it sounds like some real estate thing or not very exciting, but it's where the Disney Destiny has made its way from the Meyer Wharf shipyard down the River Ems to the North Sea. And there is some amazing video from the Meyer Wharf team showing them towing. Literally, the Disney Destiny is going down the river backwards, being towed down, and they literally put this big ship, 1,119 feet long, 128 feet wide, and you can see it going through this little bridge, and like, oh my goodness, it looks like threading the needle. It's really amazing. The ship will be undergoing sea trials in the North Sea, and then heads across the Atlantic, making its way to Fort Lauderdale's Port Everglades. The inaugural cruise departs just before Thanksgiving on Thursday, November 20th. And I should note that both Federico and Jimmy will be on board for a preview cruise. So we're going to get insights from them coming up as soon as they get off. I'm going to be there holding a microphone saying, how'd you like it? So we'll be there. I'm on board the Disney Destiny December 3rd, and then again for a New Year's Eve cruise. So we're going to tell you lots about the Disney Destiny once we all get on board. So one other thing about the Disney Adventure, and unfortunately Disney Cruise Line announced that the Disney Adventure, which was going to have its inaugural cruise in December, well, it's been delayed till March. Specifically, it has shifted to from December 15th, 2025 to March 12th, 2026. We can input sad horn noise here, right? The impacted guests were given a 50% discount on any Disney Cruise Line itinerary. So we've been hearing that the Disney Adventure was running behind. Of course, that's the big ship that's going to be based out of Singapore. We've been hearing rumors, but I still know people are disappointed, and I totally get that. Finally, one other note for itineraries visiting Hawaii. Guests on the Disney Wonder that will be visiting Hawaii in 2026 found out that port and tax fees increased. Yes, even after you booked. What happened was the Hawaii legislature approved a measure extending the state's existing 11% transient accommodations tax and the 3% local county transient accommodations tax. Well, it now includes cruise ship fares. And this change will take effect this coming January, January 1st, 2026. That impacted a handful of itineraries. We sometimes see port and tax fees adjusted down, but I don't ever remember seeing one adjusted up before. So this is new. For most guests, it was a couple $100, which I get is not what you expect and not what usually happens. There was one guest that had a quite hefty bill, and so I'm sure. But that's why it happened. So you can find more on these stories and much more. Keep up with all the Disney Cruise Line news, dclfan.com. All right, that's behind us. Let's talk Norway. And I'm going to bring in Federico and Jimmy. But let me give you some details on their cruise. Federico and Jimmy were on the 7-night Norwegian Fjords cruise out of Southampton. That's in England. So at least it's about we'll hear about it in a second. It's southwest of London. They were on the Disney Fantasy. The itinerary included stops in Olden, Norway, Ålesund, Norway. I told you I would mess these up. Stavanger, I got that one in Norway, and then back to Southampton. As I mentioned, I got to do. I'm wearing my Norway hat and Spirit jersey because this is a great cruise, and I got to do it back in 2002. It's awesome. So, Federico, start us off. Why? Well, first off, was this a Disney hosted, or did you guys just do this?
It was a Disney event. It wasn't completely hosted, but it was organized by Disney
Okay.
groups. So there were travel agents and some content media creators, but also general public. And we did have some few events with Disney representative about the stuff we do with Disney as travel agents. Like we got to see different staterooms and have a conversation with the captain team of the ship, like
Awesome.
the cruise captain, and things that you don't get to normally do when you are on a Disney cruise. But it was for the most part, a regular cruise that anyone can experience, besides those things that I just
And
mentioned.
generally, what they do for us in these situations is we get a little bit of a discount. We still are paying for the cruise, but they do give us a little bit of a discount. And we're
Correct.
just saying that by way of transparency. We did not
Yes.
go for free. We paid for the cruise, but they gave us a little bit of a discount. I believe, frankly, it was kind of what the discounted rates were being offered. The OGT, VGT, OGT, IGT rates were being offered. It was
Yeah.
about that rate. So I just want to do that by way of transparency. So when this offer came around, why Norway? Were you excited about this? Why'd you want to do a Norwegian Fjords cruise?
Well, I'm gonna let Jimmy talk about Norway, and I'm gonna talk about London because
Okay.
he. So the thing is, I think we talk about this on the other cruise that I did from Civitavecchia, from Rome to the Greek islands.
Right.
And the thing that for me is very special about these cruises is that you get to begin your vacation or end your vacation on an amazing destination itself. So I always recommend, if you want to explore the city where, or the closest city where the ship is making the departure, spend some days there to enjoy it and to get to see it. So we arrived on London on, I think it was 2 nights before the cruise, just because
Awesome.
we wanted to make sure to be there with enough time. Not if we have some sort of flight cancellation or something, it wouldn't affect us being on time for the departure of the ship. And Disney offers, of course, pre and post night stay in a luxury 5-star hotels in London or
Which
in
one did you stay
Heathrow.
in?
Neither of those.
Okay.
Because they were too expensive for us. So we actually, a Disney Cruise Line offers transportation from Heathrow, which is the international airport, and then also in different hotels around the central London area.
Right.
And one of those hotels was the Hyatt, the Churchill, which is
Yep.
in a great location in central London. So we actually got the transportation from there and find a hotel from our own, booking. We didn't do
Right.
this via Disney Cruise Line for a much lower price, which is the same
Yeah.
that I did in Rome. The hotel was called the Mandeville Hotel. It was
Okay.
2 blocks away from the this other Hyatt, and it was very good. So we stayed there for 2 nights, and it was my first time in London. Jimmy has been there before, but I was like, well, Jimmy can say I was like crazy, like
Get in a candy
like
shop. You can tell from that
Yeah.
smile.
yeah. I mean, it was a city made for me. Like the
Yeah.
weather, it was rainy, and I love that weather. It's such a vibrant city. I was surprised with how many young people were in London. It's a very young city. There's so much life and so much culture and art. We actually, well, Jimmy had the idea of booking a ticket for Hercules, the West End
Just
musical
pause.
show.
I'm just going to interrupt you for 2 seconds to let
Yeah,
folks know. So there is in the West End, there is a Broadway. It is a Broadway. It is a West End show. Hercules. It is different from the one that's going to be on the Disney Destiny. So this
correct.
and it. I was in London early, literally the week before it opened. I so wanted to see a preview, but I'm dying to hear how it was. Federico and I haven't even talked about this yet. So how was Hercules?
I thought, well, we did it because we wanted to see the comparison of the
Yeah.
one we're gonna get to see hopefully on the Disney Destiny. I loved it. Jimmy is going to tell his opinion. But we got to see that one. And then the next day, I booked tickets for the London Philharmonica Orchestra. I don't know
Yep.
if I'm saying
Philharmonic.
it
Yep.
right.
Philharmonic. Yep.
But it was so, yeah, I tried to do as many cultural and artistic, and I think my image is frozen, things that I could do, which is something I recommend my clients take advantage of these beautiful cities. London is stunning. Is
Stunning.
like yeah, it's a city. I thought it was very not similar, but as pretty as Rome or Paris, because the architecture is just beautiful. And so yeah, I spent some time in London in this case, and then you're gonna have to take the transportation about 2 hours to Southampton, where the ship actually departs for your cruise. But Jimmy, I don't know if you want to add something on the things that we did on
Yeah, Jimmy,
London and how amazing
talk
it
about
was.
London first, and then I'm going to get you to talk about why Norway. But talk about
Okay.
how'd you give me your sense of London and
Yeah. So first of all, I'm half English. My mom was born in Cheshire. It's a city in England.
yep,
So I used to travel there a lot when I was a kid to visit my family. But it was never London. I used to travel to a little town called Tunbridge, where my aunt lived. It's outside the city of London. But in 2012, I went for the first time, like at least the first time I can remember. Maybe I went when I was a kid, but and I completely fell in love with the city too. It's amazing, and there's so much to do, and I love theater. So when I went in 2012, I went to see like three different plays. One of them was The Lion King, of course. That's whenever I can see that play, I go see it in New
yep,
York, London, whatever it's being shown. But this trip, I knew that we didn't have much time. We tried to do as much as possible and to see as much as possible. So the first morning we went to see everything. We went to
that's
the
awesome.
London Bridge, to the
Tower
London
Bridge.
Eye, to
Buckingham
Buckingham Palace.
Palace.
We did it all. So after that, we were more or less free to go and have something to eat and to do other stuff that we wanted to do. So we went to see Hercules, and I loved it. But you have to be prepared to see something quite different from the movie, and there's some changes, major changes, and Broadway likes to humanize many of the characters, the movie characters. For example, here you don't have what is the name in English? Is Panic and
Pain and Panic.
Pain and Panic.
Yep.
There. So here they're humans and they have other names. Phil, it's a human too. It's very modern looking. It's very different to what we remember of the movie. So be prepared for that. I like to see what they do. I would like to see what they do with the Disney Destiny. Like Fede said, I would love to compare the both versions, but I really loved it. The muses are amazing. They steal the show. And after that, the day after that, Fede went to the
Philharmonic. Yep.
Philharmagic. I was going to say Disney my head. Philharmagic.
It was magic.
But I went to see the Back to the Future play. Wow.
Oh, awesome.
It was amazing. So there's so much to see and do in the city of London. Like Fede said, try to at least 2, 3, 4 days before or after your cruise, stay there and try to see the main things that the city has.
I think
to
it's
offer.
such an important point that both are bringing up, is particularly on cruises like Alaska. Vancouver is a destination on your cruise. Be sure and take advantage of it. Amazing city. London, Barcelona, Rome. These are treated it almost as if it's an additional destination. Take advantage of that. For cities like London and Barcelona and Rome, if you want to do an Adventures by Disney, you can book that, and they are usually tied to, so if you do the Adventures by Disney, they have a like 2 to 4 day essentially tour, and they'll get you to see everything. Adventures by Disney, not inexpensive, but they get you, so in London they get you to see the crown jewels before it opens in the morning, so you're not just passing by, you get to actually spend time in it. It's really awesome. So you can do those things, and as part of your Adventures by Disney, they either drop you off at the port or they pick you up at the port, and then you get to do your Adventures by Disney. So it works. It's a nice way to complete and fill out that trip. So and I also wanted to just quickly mention, before I know Federico wants to get back in here, in London itself, and we're going to do a kind of profile of Southampton later on, so we'll do a quick overview here because I do want to get to Norway. But there are 2 airports. You can go to either one. Disney has airports at both those hotels. Those tend to be less expensive than if you stay in town. The Disney hotels in town are fairly expensive. I was just checking for one client, and they're anywhere from $7,000 to $1,000. In fact, there's a new hotel that they've just added called the London Marriott Hotel Country Hall, which is literally looks at the London Eye, the big sky thing that goes around. It's amazing and very fun to do, but it's right there, right on the River Thames, and it was like $1,100 for one night stay. So those can be expensive, but you can easily do other hotels. And as Federico mentioned, you can still do Disney Cruise Line transportation if you want. Sorry, Federico, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, we did 41,000 steps on the previous day when we were in London. So I think it's a good idea to do this sort of touristic explorations of the cities before your cruise, because on the cruise itself, you're going to have a lot of time to rest and to recharge before you start exploring the ports. In our case, we had 1 day at sea. If you want to, I don't know if you want to add something more about Southampton. We're going to talk about this, as you said, Chris.
Yeah, let me talk. You mentioned the distance to Southampton. I also wanted to mention that we are going to do, come January, we're going to do an entire show for people who may not travel to Europe. As I've been there a bunch. If you haven't done it, it can be very intimidating. I think London is an awesome place to start. All of the Disney destinations, all the ports that they leave from out of Europe, they're going to speak a lot of English. So you're going to be able to you don't have to feel as intimidated. In Barcelona, Spanish is a language, but many people speak English. Same in Rome. Most people speak English. So, but London, of course, that's where English came from, right? And so. Right. It's the we have taken it and twisted it, but that's where everyone speaks English. The biggest challenge you're going to have is you'll be looking the wrong way when the cars are coming. So, but it's a great place to kind of do your first trip in Europe if you're doing that. Come January, and I want Elaine to be back when we do this, because when we were talking to Federico about his Rome and Greek cruise, she did a great job asking kind of the very kind of almost basic questions about money and all. We're going to put all that into one show so you can so as people are starting to plan their Europe trips, we can help you through that. So that's coming up. So yes, talk a little bit about Southampton. Southampton, a big port, right? Was it easy to get around, and the process easy to maneuver?
It was super easy. The only problem that I had, and this happened I think twice before, is that we never received the email from Disney Cruise Line letting us know the time of the transfers. And another great thing to have a travel agent that you can text him or her and let them know, and we will call Disney Cruise Line to ask this question, so you don't have to do it when you're exploring, for example, London. In our case, we didn't have a travel agent because I was the travel agent. So I told Jimmy, well, if we didn't get the email, so let's just go as early as we can. in order to be in the hotel where we're going to have the transportation from to Southampton. And we didn't have a problem. It was super easy, the check-in process. We didn't have to wait that much. And then it's 2 hours to get there. The port is very big, but the process is pretty much the same as you would expect in Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, or any other port. When you arrive, they're gonna, if you arrive from Disney Cruise Line Transportation, they are gonna direct you to a different line, and then you do security, you do the check-in, and they give you a time to board. It was like 25 minutes, maybe less. And then we were on the beautiful Disney Fantasy. So the process for me, my experience, was pretty much the same as when you do cruises from Florida or any other port. And then, it's the same if you have done it before, and if you haven't, the room is going to be ready at 1:30 p.m. So you're going to be able to have lunch. We did Cabanas that day, but you do have other restaurants. And then at 4 p.m., you're going to have to do the security drill.
Muster drill, right?
The master drill, exactly the same as any other cruise. Is very simple. You just have to be there and listen and pay attention, and then you're ready to enjoy all the activities and the entertainment that is going to be available to you to see it once you connect to the ship's internet or the intranet.
Which operates the same as it does any place else. You're connecting to DCL guests. Let me just toss in two things. One is when we did our 2002 trip to Norway, we actually left out of Dover, which is it's more as you're facing France. We were staying at the Churchill, lovely hotel, by the way. One of the nice things about it is a lot of the flights from the U.S., they get in very early in the morning, and they had a shower that we could use and get all the plane stuff off of us. It was very, because our rooms weren't ready yet. We were there way early. It was a lovely place to stay. It's not inexpensive, but it's really an awesome hotel. Our bus, when we were going, didn't show up. And we kept waiting, and the Disney people were being very Disney and saying, "Oh yes, well, it's just delayed a little bit and everything." We knew the bus they were having to rearrange and get another bus. And so there was, we got there after the departure time. And one of the nice things about taking Disney Cruise Line transportation is they held the ship for us, of course. And in fact, they refunded us the cost because we were so late. And I have a funny photo of all of us, because the bus driver had worked so long that day, he had to take a break. So we had to stop at like a highway rest stop and for the driver to take a certain amount of weight. And like, I took a picture of all of us as we were all, at first everyone was trying to look happy. And I said, no, we're not happy about this. I need how you were actually feeling photo. So it was very funny. But Disney handled it, and we got there fine. The other thing is sometimes you won't get your luggage tags. And I was just on the Disney Wish a couple weeks ago. I did not get my luggage tags until literally 2 days after my cruise. I got home from my cruise. So that does happen. I always tell folks, you're going to be fine. They're going to take them. Everything will be fine. I know how nervous you are because I was there and handing over my bags with no tags on them. It was fine. It works. And let folks know. I mean, when I checked in, I was staying at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. I let them know. They said, "Oh yeah, we got them. They took care of it. They have tags on them." My bags were some of the first on there. It's going to be fine. I get how nervous it is. So you'll be fine. So Jimmy, let's talk about your actual. And Federico did a great job talking about you log in and get to the DCL guest. You guys left late, right? It was. Different kind of schedule. You're like, okay, this is not going to leave right on time.
Yeah. So that first day after the drill, I always loved going up and seeing the Sail Away show. And
Yep.
as you know, after it ends, the ship is supposed to leave, right? It's the do 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 do. You do the countdown and all that, and, and the ship wasn't moving. But so yeah, they announced that because of the weather and the wind, they were delaying the departure. So it ended up leaving at, I think, 10 p.m., 10:30, something like that. It was very late. We were in a room and we started seeing the ship moving. Fede likes to sleep with the window open, so completely open. So even if it's windy, he'll leave it open. But there's a curtain separating the bed from the couch, so we had that.
The curtains are blowing.
So he can do whatever he wants. It's his side.
Yeah, it was a different temperature for me.
Yeah, it was totally, yeah. So, but yeah, it left.
Did the departure time cause adjustments in the rest of the itinerary? Did you have to change things?
Yes.
Yeah. Sadly, there's the first day is the departure day. The second day was day at sea. And the third day we were supposed to have a fjord sighting day. We were supposed to just go between some fjords and have them from both sides. That's what they told us. You're gonna be seeing fjords, and I started watching some YouTube videos getting ready for this trip, and I was really anticipating. I really wanted to see the fjords that day, but we couldn't do it. They had to take another route to try to get as fast as possible to the first port that was
Olden.
Olden, sorry. Olden. Yeah, Olden. I was about to say Ålesund. That was the second one. But Olden. So yeah, you could say we had 3 days at sea, with the first day, being still. But yeah, so it got a bit, that first stretch, it felt a bit long. There's a lot to do and see on the Disney Fantasy. It's a beautiful and huge ship. But it was 3 days, and I was like, I want to see some land.
Mountains, yeah.
The mountains. I want to see. Yeah, we were just seeing the sea and nothing else. So yeah.
So your first stop, Olden, is actually it's a fairly small town, Federico, fairly small town. It's fairly deep into, so you got fjord viewing as you were heading towards Olden, right?
Yes, it was. So Disney, one of the things Disney Cruise Line did for being part of this event, they gave us some money to do port adventures. And then so we did a lot of them. We did a lot of excursions and activities in every of the 3 ports. And in Olden, we arrived very early in the morning. I think it was 5 a.m. Jimmy was sleeping, but since I was in the sofa, I was able to leave to the balcony and see the actual arriving to Olden. And it was beautiful with all the fjords and the mountains. So it was an amazing landscape. And as you said, Olden is quite a small village, but very, I don't know if that's the word in English, pintoresque,
picturesque, yep.
Picturesque, yes. And on that day, we did 2 excursions. The first one was, I think, one of the most amazing activities that I have done in my life. It was so beautiful and so entertainment. We did the kayak experience, which is offered, I think it's in different ports, but we did that in Olden. And so this was in the morning. We had an amazing guide. One thing that I was very surprised with every experience that we have in these ports was that the tour guides that we had on the Avengers, I'm sorry.
You can do it. Adventures.
Adventures. They weren't superheroes. They weren't superheroes.
Yeah.
They were super guides. They were very friendly. they speak English, all of them, but they have so much knowledge that they were ready to give you a lot of information on the history, the way people live, the way the cities were made, the village. It was like so entertainment, but so much information at the same time. So we got to do the kayaking right next to the Disney Fantasy. We have the beautiful views of the ship. It was super safe. We had the guide who was given the information and was like leading the group, but we also have another like security person who was with us in case anything happened. So we felt safe and with good company all the time. And it was just like the views and the landscape and the mountains are just so huge. Because I thought they were like I live in Medellin, Colombia, and we have mountains all around the city. But this is massive. The scale of the mountains, it makes you feel so small and like cozy at the same time. So that was a pretty amazing experience. And then
I just want to pause you there for 2 seconds and note, because I think we shouldn't go without saying, Disney, if you don't have to do a Disney Cruise Line port adventure. There are other ones. You can't do them on your own. Disney Cruise Line really does go way over to make sure they get pretty good ones. And I know when I was in Norway, we did a helicopter journey. Those were almost canceled. Not the person who was the pilot, going to be the pilot, was totally certified, but didn't meet Disney Cruise Line's requirements for the number of hours with passengers. And so Disney Cruise Line said, and they actually got another pilot in there and then did it with somebody who had additional hours. I'll tell you, our pilot was like, you try and create an AI image of somebody who's from Norway, and this was him. It was amazing. And again, spoke perfect English and some of the most amazing views. We got to fly over the Disney Magic and see the magic as it's set in this fjord. It was amazing. And I should mention, for those of you listening to us on podcast, dclshow.com/Norwegian Norway trip report. Go watch it on YouTube because they took all sorts of video. I'm going to send Jimmy the picture, my favorite photo. I have it all over the place of looking down the fjord. So there'll be a lot of images that I think will help you enjoy this a little bit more. But sorry, I interrupted. They do a really good job and cute. Did you do another excursion or just one, just the kayaking that day?
No, two on the same day. The first one was more it was not extreme sport, but it was demanding. The second one was more accessible to anyone. You didn't have to walk at all, basically. It was a bus excursion to a lake. So the fjords are seawater. They look like lakes because it's in the middle of the mountains, but it's seawater. But this was an excursion where they took you to like a national park and that has a freshwater lake. And they had a small like building with a museum of sort of like a natural history museum, very small. And they have movies about things we didn't see because we wanted to be outside taking videos and pictures.
Right.
And then they give you like a visit to a waterfall, something like that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of information. And I'm sure Jimmy will agree with me. The first one was more entertainment for us.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do something for people who are not, they can't walk or they don't want to walk or do this more extreme experiences.
Right. Mm-hmm. Jimmy, how did you like both of those excursions, and what did Federico forget to add?
Well, I have to say first, Olden was my favorite port. Maybe it is because it was the first one, so it had that wow, feeling.
Yeah.
When we got there, and Fede was like, "Hey, when I woke up, come, go up, see this." I was like, the ship is docked just in front of this amazing landscape, and it looked like a fairy tale. You know, you have these little houses in the middle of the fjords, and it felt magical. So when we got off the ship and we went to to get ready for the first part, the kayaking, the first thing that I noticed, like Fede said, was like getting so close to the ship, to this huge, massive ship that, as Disney fans, we all love seeing a Disney cruise ship. So that was amazing. Being,
but I don't know about you, but at least for me, seeing, the ship is so huge, and yet seeing it, as Federico mentioned, seeing it against those mountains, it just gives you an idea of how these fjords are just and the depth that they go down. I mean, talk about just a geological phenomenon that is just so amazing and gives you the how small we are in comparison to all this stuff. It's just really a remarkable experience.
Yeah, and if you like Norse mythology, our guy told us some stories. There's like a big, how do you say the footprint of the horse? What's the name of the,
footprint of the horse? Yeah, they're like, yep.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay, so there was like this shape in one. No, but it has another name.
Horseshoe.
Like the horseshoe.
Yeah, the horseshoe. So there was this shape in one of the fjords, and the story he told us was that Odin had this huge horse, and he was jumping, from fjord to fjord, the horse slipped, and it left that mark. So it was like, I really like, the Thor movies, and and I read some comics, and I have I like Norse mythology, but I don't know the real thing. So getting to hear it from the locals, it was very, very cool. And
it sounds so trite, but being there, like, you just immediately, I had. Again, it sounds trite, but they captured it in the Frozen movies, right? You get this kind of sense and space and just incredible stuff. I want to be conscious of time. Your next stop was your most northern stop. You actually went a little farther north to Ålesund.
Ålesund.
It's this was our first stop on our cruise. This is, again, it's fairly far north, and I have a picture of the, how far, or longitude, latitude, whatever it is. This is an amazing, it's like you're stepping into a fairy tale, because it has all these almost Art Nouveau kind of architecture, very walkable. We just walked this day. They have a place where you can go that overlooks the town and gives you these great views, and you can see the ship from up there. What did you guys do in Ålesund?
We did a cruise because we can't get enough. So we did, it was like a cruise with it was sort of like a transportation kind of boat. So they
almost
took
like a
us
ferry
to another
kind of thing.
Yeah, like a ferry, and they took us to another fjord that is not accessible with a cruise ship. So you have to go in these very small vessels, and it was just, I told Jimmy at that moment, this is the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Besides people. I mean, like in nature, because it's just like all the things that we were saying, but you get to see them in a more secluded place, and it's just breathtaking.
Yeah.
You get it. Beautiful experience, and I recommend it if you really want to see these landscapes of the Norwegian fjords. Do this. We can leave them in the comments, or you can contact any of the Dreams travel agents to have the specifics of this excursion. But I really enjoy it. Again, very easy, accessible. We have people from all ages. You didn't have to walk. You have a lot of seats to rest during the trip, and then they take you to this place where you get to see the fjords without leaving the vessel. So it's just sort of like an excursion without having to leave the vessel. Beautiful. I really recommended that. And then when we left city, a beautiful place, like Chris was saying, we had a, well, Jimmy can say it. Jimmy was hungry and he wanted to eat something local. And
Awesome.
yeah, no, it
What'd you
wasn't.
have, Jimmy?
No, no, we couldn't find anything. So
Oh, really?
no, yeah, we started asking people there. We were like, hey, we started seeing like Indian restaurants, Mexican restaurants, but nothing.
Don't have Mexican food in Norway, right?
Yeah, we were
No.
looking for, there was a lot of cafes and sandwich places. So we
Right.
got in, we went in like a, yeah, it was charcuterie place where they sold, they were selling some cheeses, and I was like, hey, is it possible to ask for a sandwich here? And he told me, no, we don't sell sandwiches, but I can tell you where you can go. And I was like, no, if you could say, like, you could recommend me a place where I can have something, local, some Norwegian food. And he was like, there's no, like, we don't have any, very like specific dish that I could tell you, hey, go have this. But we like eating fish. So I can recommend you this place here. And we went to the place he said, and we got there, and they were selling sushi. They were selling some fish, but nothing that I never had. So we ended up eating in the ship. We tried, like, we sit down, we waited for 20-25 minutes, but it was full, so they were taking too long, so we went to the ship. But yeah, like Fede said, the landscape, the views there were, wow, breathtaking. I couldn't stop taking photos, I couldn't stop filming. And talking about that, I was going to say that there's 2 videos now up on the DIS secondary channel that I edited with some footage that we did in Olden and Ålesund. So you can go check it out. There's a lot there. Of course, you're gonna be seeing some during this show, but if you want to see, it's I use some relaxing music so you can put it in the background and just enjoy.
It's
those beautiful views.
I actually had it running this weekend, and it was my chill out when occasionally I feel a little stressed, so I had it playing in the background with the gorgeous views on my TV here, and it was great. It's awesome and it's spectacular, and it took me back to that place. Really, really great. Your next stop on your journey was Stavanger. Stavanger is one of the bigger cities in Norway. Not huge, but I think it's like 150,000 people. But has a bigger feel to it. It is perhaps best known because it's kind of the place. If you're going to, if you haven't heard of Pulpit Rock, it's on among the most historic places to go visit. It's a hike. Did you guys make it to Pulpit Rock? I know you did, so I'm asking the question, but how was Pulpit
Yeah,
Rock?
well, I did. Jimmy did 3 hours after.
No,
No,
shut up.
no, I'm kidding. We are at the same time. So yeah, this was another of the non-accessible experiences that we have. This is not for everyone.
Correct.
There's the hike itself is like 2 hours, 1.5
at
hour,
least.
I think. Yeah, but I thought the conditions were easy, but I'm used to hike. I'm used to do this type of experiences. But I was seeing people having a hard time. Not Jimmy. Jimmy did have a hard time, but for different reasons. But there were people who were like, "No, I'm too tired. I can't do this." I saw one poor girl crying. I think she was like, "No, this is too much." So you get a lot walking, and the weather is cold and it was rainy, so it's an experience. To get there, you take a bus and you get to see a lot of the city itself, which is very, I believe it was a oil city back in the days. So there's a lot of mansions and beautiful houses that you get to see on the way to the place where you can actually begin the hike. And
Right.
then when you do that, I
There's
was
also
like,
one of the
yeah, let's.
longest. There's also one of the longest underground roadways. So if you get a
Yeah.
little claustrophobic, you kind of, but it's one of the longest underground roadways in the world is there, and that's how you make your way through the space. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I lost Jimmy because he took his time, which I understand, but I was like very excited. And yeah, Jimmy, say, tell us.
I got there like 10 minutes after you. Shut up. No, but but no, the issue was that it was raining a lot and constantly.
Yeah.
It never stopped. So
Not like a
it started
drizzle.
to
It was
get
just more a drizzle, or was like an actual rain.
like both. We had
Right.
some drizzle, and after that it started raining, and yeah, so it got very slippery. And there were some parts where it was just very plain. The rocks were like, yeah. So I started like trying to like go up first and be very careful, but yeah, I ended up slipping and hurting my knees first. But yeah, the adrenaline kept me going. I wanted
Yeah.
to get there. So
Here's what I'll say about the hike
yeah.
is I call it it's more than a moderate hike. It's not, it's not, you can easily do it and you don't need climbing gear. It's not like that kind of thing. There is a pathway. There are steps all the way through. There are some places that are essentially rock. And when it's raining, those will get slippery. And there's some places that have a little bit of a lean to them, I guess,
Yeah.
a little bit, and so your feet will kind of feel like you're going to slip. I never felt in. So when we did it, we did not. Well, we had rain coming down, and I actually think coming down in some ways is harder than going up. And so just make sure you leave enough energy to make it both ways. And when we were there, there were very strong winds. I would say gusts to 30, 40 miles an hour. And I don't know if when you were there, but there were a lot of people doing their photos where they jump up in the air and so they can capture that photo of them, floating over Pulpit Rock. Pulpit Rock is amazing. If you think of a pulpit in a church, that's what it looks like in rock formation. You guys probably didn't have the amazing view that you get down the fjord. But it is a spectacular spot on the planet.
Yeah.
And to me, it was well worth the hike. I got very nervous because I saw people near the edge doing that jump. And then I was just imagining a 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour gust coming through and that person not landing on the rock. And it was more than my amygdala has been overstimulated in my life. And that was more than my amygdala could handle. So I kind of looked the other way while people were doing those kinds of things. And it can be crowded. It's a very popular spot, a very popular hike. Again, if you're not able to do a couple-hour hike, don't do it. You won't have a good time. So, and we had on our trip somebody who didn't show up for a couple hours, and it was a little, people were starting to get nervous. So, but if you can do it, it is an amazing spot on the planet Earth, and well worth the hike, in my humble opinion. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to add about Pulpit Rock?
No, I was going to say that, yeah, that be careful, take in consideration if you're going to be able to do the 2 hours up and hour and a half, hour down. And if it's raining, be very, very careful. Like there's no safety nets. It's nature. So there were some times that I was like looking down and I was like, oh shoot. Like be very careful.
Yeah, you almost said a different S word. I got it. There's one spot where, and in fact, people take their what do we call padlocks and lock them along this chain, and it's a fairly narrow space to hike along. And that was the place that I think that I got the most nervous, other than watching people doing their jumping up top. And you do need to be careful. I knew I was going to do this, so I had some basically hiking shoes, not ankle ways because I didn't want to carry those, but I brought some shoes that would. And as it's similar to Alaska, you want to have gear. So if it's raining, and it can be chilly, and so you need to think carefully about how you pack on these cruises. Yeah. So, but an amazing space. Did you do anything else aside from Pulpit Rock in Stavanger, Federico?
No, that was it. Well, Jimmy did some shopping, I think, but I went back to
it's a cute town, Jimmy. I mean, there are some of that little towns and some of the places that you walk down, and it feels like you're in a movie set. For goodness sakes, you go, this cannot be real. It's beautiful. Just absolutely beyond adorable.
Yeah, like have in mind that the Pulpit Rock excursion is going to take the whole day, so you're not going to have like time to visit the city. But so we got there, like I think it was half an hour before we had to leave. So I was like trying to see something in that half an hour, and I got in like there's some. Do you remember like there's some parts that go up and you have all these houses coming down to the ship, and the upper part had like some buildings, like modern buildings, but like the closer you got to the ship, the older the houses were. And I got obsessed taking pictures of this cat that looked very he was very funny looking, but like you said, it felt like a movie set. So those pictures turned out great because of the background. And I went shopping. There's, of course, you have to buy a little troll when you go to Norway, so I bought some trolls. And it's I would like to go back someday. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would love to go back and visit more and see more of the city, because I think if we talk about cities, that was my favorite one. Like if you talk about landscape and activities, like I said, Olden was my favorite stop. But it's very, very beautiful. Norway is such a beautiful country. I would love to go there. It's spectacular.
The people are just beyond amazingly lovely and really fun. I will mention, I do think it's we in one of the stops, and I can find it, but one of the stops we actually ate lunch in the little town, and we had reindeer burgers. Which I was like, okay, it felt a little bit like I'm eating Rudolph, but amazing, just really phenomenal, and a spectacular thing to do. So if you can do some meal in one of these towns, one of these locations, I think that's a fun thing to do. And so I wanted to shift a little bit to the ship experience, because oftentimes on these European cruises, when you're doing a Caribbean or Bahamian cruise, the ship is as much a destination as where you're going, right? That's not, the ship is still a destination, but it's, as we've talked about for 40 minutes now, you have these amazing destinations and you want to make sure and see them. Did you do the shows? How was the food on board? Anything that you particularly want to highlight while you were on board the Disney Fantasy?
I didn't, because I was just in the Disney Fantasy 2 months ago on the Greek island. So I seen the shows and I experienced most of the entertainment. I was doing work and taking footage and taking pictures most of the time when I was inside the Disney Fantasy. Jimmy did. I just want to mention the food was great. We did Palo on the last night. We had the last day was another day at sea, of course, coming back to the UK, and we did Palo that night. Was awesome as usual. So I really enjoyed that. The food was the same. The menus didn't change. The experience was pretty much the same in terms of the options that you get for food.
Right.
But yeah, I think Jimmy did one of the shows or two.
Yeah,
They do not. They do
sorry.
not for. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, of course, well, they had the Frozen show, and I had to see Frozen in Norway, right? So, and that's a great show. That's one of my favorite ones. And I went to see Believe too. And tell me if I'm wrong, Fede, but there was a special menu, right? They had like a Norway inspired menu.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
So
It
forget,
was like,
forget about what I said.
yeah, like Frozen. It was supposed to be a Frozen menu with
Yeah,
Norwegian
that's right.
inspired food.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
They
on
do
Day at
not.
Sea. No, on Pirate Night.
Yeah.
They usually do a Caribbean inspired menu, and they didn't on this sailing. It was Norwegian inspired, very similar to the menu that you get on the Arendelle dining experience on the Disney Wish. And I think that even some of the dishes were the same. But yeah, you're correct. That was different.
Yeah.
And they didn't have when I did it on the Magic. They had they didn't do Pirate Night. They did a Frozen deck show, and then did Frozen, and people came dressed as Frozen. So we happened to be traveling with, if you listen to the DCL Duo podcast, we happened to be on our Norway cruise with them, and so we got to be seated with them, and they came fully decked out for Frozen Night. It was very impressive, so they do not do fireworks in Norway. So if you're not going for the fireworks, where you're going is the fireworks enough. It's amazing. The one other thing, and I don't believe either of you have done Alaska, correct?
No.
Oh yeah. So because one of the questions that I often get asked is compare and contrast Alaska and Norway, and here's what I say is they're similar. I know this sounds silly, but Norway's in Europe and Alaska is not. They have a very different feel. Both involve glaciers, both involved, and so they have a lot of that similar kind of thing. Alaska has, by the time Disney anyway does a lot of the Norway cruises, which is November. Is usually late August and September. A lot of the animals know what's coming in just a couple weeks. It's going to get dark and cold, and so they're out of Dodge. They're getting out of there and heading south. That is not as true in Alaska. They're still hanging around in Alaska. So if animals are your thing, it's choose Alaska over Norway. I think when push comes to shove, I think the fjords are more amazing in Norway than they are in Alaska. But both are amazing trips. You'll have an amazing time, and it's a phenomenal. Both are phenomenal trips. So, any tips or tricks that you're taking away from this, Federico, that you're going to be able to share with clients that you say, okay, do this or don't do that, or share folks your thoughts. If you're going to do it again, what would you do differently?
I would not differently, but I think packing is very important. So know the experiences that you want to have. Read carefully the descriptions of the excursions, and pack accordingly, because you're gonna need a good winter jacket or rain jacket or something to protect you, enough clothing to change several times a day if you get too wet. You're going to need good hiking shoes if you want to do that, and just be prepared depending on the experiences that you want to have. And again, enjoy the port from departure. If you have been to London before, or if you have been to Rome or to Barcelona. But those cities always have something different to offer unless you have lived there for many years. So look up the shows, look up the theater, look out for the experiences that are going to add to your vacation on Disney Cruise Line. Or if you want to even do a Avengers by Disney before or after your cruise, that is a great way to explore these destinations, and we can help you with that booking as well. So yeah, that's
Jimmy, you have a little one, so I'm curious what on our cruise. Ours was September, yours was as well. It was interesting because there weren't many. There were little kids, but not a bunch of them. I think there were 15 on our cruise, and then there was a big chunk in the middle where there were hardly any, because in the U.S. a lot of kids going back to school and around the world. And then there were like recent college grads who were traveling with their parents, was kind of, but this big middle group. As you were doing this trip, can you imagine bringing your kid on this kind of trip? Would they enjoy it? I know it's one of the things people think about is traveling with kids on these kinds of trips.
Yeah, so that's one of the first things that we noticed, that there weren't any, like there were some kids, of course, like you said, like little kids, but there were not. Like, we're very used to seeing a lot of families with kids when we go
Right.
to the Caribbean cruises, right? So I will say, I don't know if I will go with my kid. I think I will wait for him to be older to enjoy this. And there's so many things that, like, for example, the kayaking or the hike. I know that I wouldn't be able to take my kid on any of those. And
Right.
even my wife, I don't know if she, like, you have to like really like this kind of outdoor experiences, and and know that you're gonna like Fede said, it can be very demanding. Like, you have to be ready to walk a lot. And there's some excursions like the one we did, like the cruise and all that, that I can see myself doing that with my kid. But as a whole experience, I will say that maybe the Caribbean ones are more family friendly, uh, and these are more like, they're Europe is such a cultural rich, like, place to go. Like, every country has something to do, to see, but you have to enjoy that kind of stuff, to go to museums and to go to to see these landscapes. And I'm more like, I prefer the mountain over the beaches. But that's something that you're gonna have to see if this kind of itineraries is for you or not, for your family or not. That's something that I think that agents can help you with. And this kind of shows and the content we're producing is for you to see and to to get an idea of what to expect. So yeah, maybe I will wait for my kid to be up in older
Here's
to
what
do
here's
this.
what I did with my son, who's now 14. I took my kid on a lot of European cruises, and so we've cruised out of Barcelona, did the Mediterranean. We've done the Greek cruise. He was a little bit older; he was like 11. We've done we did a cruise out of Copenhagen that did the Baltic Sea when he was really little. And
Yeah.
I have this memory of back then they visited St. Petersburg, Russia. They don't do that anymore. But my parents were in the Hermitage, the very famous museum. I was in the courtyard chasing pigeons. So all that being said, I used it as a very safe way to get my son used to Europe and traveling overseas in a very safe way. So
Yeah.
we would go to St. Petersburg, we would go to Rome, we could go to Barcelona, we'd go to these places, but he was always coming back to this space that he knew was safe, that was, had plenty of things for him to do. And it did adjust how we did our excursions. So when we did the Mediterranean cruise that left out of Barcelona, it had a stop in the coast, Cevicea. I never say it right. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours into Rome. I
Yeah.
chose not to take my 5-year-old on that 2-hour bus to see a bunch of stuff that he would not care about. We used it as a seat, a day on the ship.
Yeah.
And so it will definitely adjust how you think about this. Again, this is one of these, I mentioned the CLIA report earlier. This is one of the things that a travel agent can help you with, is to
Yeah.
think about those kinds of aspects that,
Yeah.
that will
I wanted
impact
to
your
add.
trip. So
I wanted
yeah,
to add
go.
that, yeah, in my case, my kid is now 2 years old, so he's
Right.
very young. So yeah, maybe like you said, 5, 6, 7 years old, it's a different story. But like if I have to spend the money, being my case being from Argentina, I have to fly that like to London and all that. I will just
Right.
wait a bit, wait for 3.
Because how long is the flight
5
from
years.
Argentina to London? It has to be
It's
long.
16 hours.
Yeah, I mean, my God, doing
We are
that with a 2-year-old
stopping.
sounds like one of the rungs of hell, right? Oh my God. Here's what I tell you is one of the pushbacks that we often get is, oh, my kid's too young. He's not going to remember it. He or she is not going to remember it. My response to that often is, if that were the criteria, you wouldn't throw a 1-year-old a birthday party, because they don't remember that, right? We're not doing it for them. We're doing it for
Yeah.
us. And they do get that bug, that joy of travel. And it's, I mean, my son's now been all over the place and has been lucky enough that he's been able to see the world in pretty amazing ways. And so that was my goal, was to have him love it. I think it fosters a love of other nations, of learning, of so many good things that come out of it. So I think it's doable, but think through that it's going to be a different trip. It's not a trip like you did or like I did. It's different. One last question, either of you, did you jump in my better half jumped in the water? Did you guys jump in the water?
No.
All right, there you go.
No.
All right. Anything else you want to share with folks? Anything we didn't touch on that we should have?
No, I think we're good.
No, just
Awesome.
go and do it and experience this on your own. It's such a beautiful itinerary and so different. Like after doing so many of the Caribbean ones that are lovely, I always enjoy a Disney cruise, but this one felt so special, so different. So yeah, I hope you get the chance to do this. It's amazing.
I highly recommend doing a Norwegian Fjords cruise. It's really, really lovely and just unique. And I mentioned it earlier. We are going to do a show coming up focused on preparing for a trip to Europe. We're also going to have both of these guys back and talk about, look at London specifically and what you can do and how you get all those kinds of orchestration stuff. So that'll be coming up. We'll get those to you. We just have run out of time. My goodness. But you can, it can feel overwhelming if you've never done this before. It's different than going to the Bahamas or the Caribbean. And so we're going to walk you through how to make that a bit more manageable. As always, we'd love for you to book your trip with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Literally, it helps pay for what we do here. And I'll tell you, I was a Dreams client before I was a Dreams agent, so I just get the value. Best place to start, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Select Disney Cruise. The first page asks your itinerary and your cruise date. On the second page, at the very top, there's a pull-down menu of all the Dreams agents. I will tell you, I know all of them. They're all awesome. You can select one, or you don't have to. Federico, though, if you want to get Federico, you can just pull his Federico. You can find that. But if they have more specific questions, Federico, how can they reach you?
My email is Federico, which is FEDERICO @dreamsunlimitedtravel.com.
There you go. It wasn't a pop quiz. Nice job. And if you want to reach me, Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Yes, there's a Chris. So Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I'm also on social media. Yensid Travel. Yensid is Disney spelled backwards, and it's the Sorcerer and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. There's your Disney trivia. Oh, and I've added a new way you can reach out to us. You can leave us a message. Just go to dclshow.com/ message, and it'll take you to this platform. You can record a message. You can do it right from your phone. We've had a few messages come in. It's lovely to hear from you guys. So if you have show ideas or all those kinds of things, you can do that. Thank you, Federico. Thank you, Jimmy. Really, really appreciate it. The amazing Jimmy. Thank you guys both for being here. And as always, a special thanks to you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Depending on where you're watching, hearing, listening, whatever you're doing, please subscribe, leave us a review. It really does help. We got a 5-star review and on iTunes and on Apple Podcasts, more specifically. So we really do appreciate that. It does these algorithms. I don't know how they work, but it does. So, and if you have topics for us, you can leave those in the YouTube comments or on the DCL Fan Facebook page, where there's a whole bunch of folks discussing Disney Cruise Line, really fun. Or you can send a message, dclshow.com/message, or you can just send me an email, chrisv@dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Thanks for sharing your amazing trip. This is the color of jealousy, but great to hear about it and great to relive it with you guys. With that, safe travels to you. Have a great vacation. We'll see you real soon. Thanks.